is TOS Television, your digital-first Pan-African news network. I am Abigail Ukmade, and this is Africa Now. Following a decade of clinical trials in 7 African countries, a potential major breakthrough against malaria, a disease that kills hundreds of thousands of people in tropical countries annually, has been made in science. The World Health Organization on Wednesday says it has given its support for the only approved vaccine, Mosquirix, developed by British drug maker GlaxoSmithKline, to be widely given to African children. Malaria is far more deadly than COVID-19 in Africa. It killed 386,000 Africans in 2019, according to a WHO estimate, compared to 212,000 confirmed COVID-19 deaths in the past 18 months. The majority of those killed by the disease are under the age of 5. And to politics, Mohamed Bivogui, a former civil servant and expert in agricultural finance, has been named by Guinea's military junta as Prime Minister on national television on Wednesday. He is to preside over a promised transition back to democratic rule following a coup in September, whose precise contours have yet to be defined. Bivogui, 68, is also the nephew of Diallo Telli, a celebrated Guinean diplomat who was killed by the regime of dictator Sékou Touré in 1977. Bivogui worked as a civil servant at one of the country's leading producers of backseats in 1980s. Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed on Wednesday kept Demeke Mokenen, his powerful Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister and Finance Minister Ahmed Shide, to remain in his newly constituted 22-member cabinet, but shuffled other positions to include leaders from small opposition parties. The cabinet was approved by a majority vote in the lower house of parliament, with 2 votes against and 12 abstentions. New ministers were also appointed to the Water Ministry, which oversees the $4 billion Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, and the Peace Ministry, which oversees humanitarian issues. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has demanded Ethiopia shows proof that confirms the 7 UN expelled staff are guilty of the allegations of misconduct and interfering in its internal affairs. Last week, the East African nation accused the UN staff of taking sides in the war in Ethiopia's northern Tigray region and inflating the magnitude of the humanitarian crisis that began in November last year. Earlier, Guterres in the Council said up to 7 million people in Tigray, Amhara and Afar region need help, including 5 million in Tigray, where some 400,000 people are estimated to be living in famine-like conditions. And moving away from Ethiopia to security matters, several soldiers have been killed and many more wounded in an improvised explosive device attack in central Mali. The attack on Wednesday occurred near the village of Bodio in the Mopti region, the epicenter of violence in Mali, by fighters linked to Al-Qaeda and ISIL, according to Moulaye Guindo, the mayor of the nearby town of Bankas. Despite the presence of thousands of French and UN troops, the conflict has engulfed central Mali and spread to neighboring Burkina Faso and Niger. And this is your digital first Pan-African news network, TOS Television. You are watching Africa Now. Business stories and more coming your way after the break. So stay tuned. Welcome back in business. According to a World Bank report released Wednesday, the economy of Sub-Saharan Africa is projected to grow by 3.3% this year, 3.5% in 2022 and 3.8% in 2023. The imposition of restrictions in Africa to limit the spread of COVID-19 stifled trade and other key economic activities, including tourism and transport. Depending on how fast COVID-19 vaccinations were rolled out, the World Bank report said growth could turn out to be higher at 5.1% in 2022 and 5.4% a year later, while a slower inoculation rate would reduce growth projections. Google said it plans to invest $1 billion in Africa over the next 5 years for internet access penetration and will back startups to support the continent's digital transformation. The announcement was made at a virtual event by a unit of U.S. tech company Alphabet Incorporation, where it launched an Africa investment fund. Nitin Gajiria, managing director for Google in Africa, said an undersea cable being built by Google to link Africa and Europe should come into service in the second half of next year and is expected to increase internet speeds by 5 times and lower data costs by up to 21% in countries like South Africa and Nigeria. And away from business, Mining and Energy Minister Guterres on Thursday said South Africa must manage its transition away from coal-based power generation systematically and not rush a switch to renewable energy sources. Mantashe said this at a mining conference when asked how China's pledge to not build new coal power stations abroad will affect South Africa. He adds that South Africa is not a developed economy, does not have an alternative sources for quick changeover. And at least 12 people were killed in Central African Republic on Tuesday when rebel fighters linked to the coalition of Patriots for Change when fighters linked to the Coalition for Patriots for Change ambushed and set fire to 3 semi-trucks conveying passengers from a regional capital, a local official said. The gold and diamond-rich nation of 4.7 million people has suffered bouts of heavy violence since former President Francois Bozize was ousted in 2013. Hundreds of thousands have been displaced. The country fighting coalition of militias and the National Army was sparked by a constitutional court decision to bar Bozize from running in last year's presidential elections, in which President Faustin Touadera won a second term. Nadakasi, a mountain gorilla photographed in 2019 posing for a relaxed selfie with rangers at an orphanage in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Virunga National Park, has died. Ndagasi died after a prolonged illness in which her condition rapidly deteriorated, the park announced. The park added that she died in the loving arms of her caretaker and lifelong friend, Andre Bauma. And that is Africa Now. For more updates, do visit our website at www.tostvnetwork.com. Follow us and like our social media handles on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And remember to subscribe on YouTube to stay with us and enjoy more programs on TOS Television Network. I am Abigail Okmade. Thanks for watching.